Every resin you buy went up in April. The same cause, it's the same direction, same urgency. It was almost the simplest market we've seen in years. May is already different. The market has split, and the right moves in one half of the resin market is the wrong move in the other. So let me show you what I mean. This is resin market moves. On one side of the split, you have every resin with benzene in the value chain. These are the aromatic compounds back from my chemical engineering days. BS, polystyrene, polycarbonate, both nylons, 6 and 6,6. Benzene hit $4.95 last week, approaching $5 a gallon. And every 10 cents of benzene is roughly a penny on polystyrene. The math on ABS and nylons is similar. And here's the number that should be getting more attention. Lactum is almost $2,000 per metric ton right now and still moving. That's the feedstock that runs directly into nylon 6. It spiked $380 per metric ton in a single week back in April. If we think about that for a second, that's a 25% move in 7 days on a very vital feedstock in the petrochemical industry. And that's not noise. It's a signal that was already starting in the supply chain before most buyers even processed it. On top of that cost story, you've got a structural supply, actually multiple events. INEOS has reportedly refused new ABS business until August. Think of it like trying to get into a sold out Taylor Swift concert. You can call the box office all you want. The seats aren't there, or you're going to be paying just an exorbitant price for it. The buyers who got their allocations are in, the ones who waited from the outside are watching. But in nylon 6,6, Celanese is closing its Singapore unit after July of this year. So 2 months, 55,000 metric tons of polymer capacity offline. And we did see Lone Star Funds complete 2 separate nylon acquisitions within the last 30 days. I'm going to come back to that in a second because it's the most important structural story right now in the market. On the other side of the split, we've got the commodity resins, polyethylene trending towards flat. There is a 20-cent nomination for May on the table. And right now, buyer resistance is winning. And this is why April ACC data came in more moderate than producers needed to justify the full 20 cents of ask. They did just get 30 cents last month. Inventories only drew 23.3 million pounds in the month. And that's really a drop in the bucket, all things considered. Days of supply held at 35 days. Demand rates fell by 2%. And operating rates actually fell 2%. That data is all in the buyer's favor. The buyers who are actually calling their reps, of course, making it a conversation instead of a concession, are getting the different outcomes than the ones who filed the letter and moved forward. PET is doing something even more interesting. Early projections for May's paraxylene contract, increase of 4 cents a pound, reversed. The market is now talking about a slight decline. PTA, the other key feedstock, is expected to follow. For PET buyers, bottles, containers, packaging, this is a genuine window of relief. It's been a pretty relentless cost increase environment for the last few months. It's not going to last too long. Summer beverage demand is continuing to build. Hurricane season is going to start here in just a few weeks, and MEG and PTA supply chains upstream are still being rebuilt from the Hormuz disruptions. But right now, there is a narrow window that's open in PET. Had a chance to connect with the owners last week, Bill Bowie, and he's been in the industry longer than most of us have, and some of us that have been alive. And his read on the buyer's behavior is one that I trust completely. He said something that stuck with me, and is something along the lines of the market splitting when this happens is when buyers make their biggest mistakes, treating every resin in their portfolio the same when each one needs a different play. The ones who come out ahead are the ones who are going to be aggressive in PE and PE. And locking in their longer term commitments in nylon 6, 6, 6, and ABS before things get tighter. That, again, that hits the nail on the head. One playbook for all 9 resins is going to result in you overpaying in half of them. So nylon 6,6, the one I'd like to call out specifically, if you're buying nylon 6,6 and you haven't looked at your second half of the year contracts, you really should do it this week. That Celanese Singapore closure is not a rumor. It's got an announced date. And it is in just a few months' time. 55,000 metric tons of capacity exiting the global supply chain. And at the same time, we have Lone Star Funds completing 2 acquisitions in the same resin with Domo Engineered Materials on May 12th and Radici's High Performance Polymers business on April 3rd. Those used to be independent producers that buyers used to play against each other in applications where they could and in negotiations. And, now they're becoming one platform. Again, think about what happened to airline routes when major carriers merged. Before the merger, 2 airlines on the same route meant real price competition, options, leverage, a reason for both sides to work for your business. After the airline mergers, one carrier, one price, nobody's fuel costs changed. The competitive structure changed. The DOJ research found fares on consolidated routes increased within 24 months of merger completion, not because the costs went up, but because that competition went away. So just something to think about as we move forward. The feedstock story tells you what's happening to your prices today. The structural story is going to tell you what's happening to your options in the future starting tomorrow, of course. Both are important right now. Buyers are really paying attention to the former, so they need to be considering the future as well. A quick recap: 9 resins, 9 different situations. Polyethylene, flat, resist the 20 cents. Data's on your side. Call your rep, make it a conversation. Polypropylene is elevated, but moderating. There is that force majeure down at the La Porte site for Total. Phillips 66 has a turnaround here in June. Negotiate on the fundamentals, not on fear. That was driving the market in the last few months. PET, there's that small window open. Lock anything you have out through Q3. ABS, we've talked about that. If you're single sourced, it's a problem right now. You need to be shoring up your immediate needs and qualifying alternatives where possible. Lock your second half of the year volume before some of those capacity announcements go offline. The leverage you have is this week, and it's not going to be the same that you have later in the year. In the aromatics, benzene, caprolactam, let's keep an eye on them. They're continuing to drive them all up, and the cost support is real. So negotiate the magnitude, not the direction. Stocks to watch as we move through the week. Of course, benzene, caprolac, and then crude oil continues to hold above $100 on the Hormuz stalemate situation. I read how it was described as Schrodinger's Strait. It is both open and closed at the same time, depending on your perspective. And I thought that was pretty on point. Full nine resin breakdown is in the Resin Market Moves newsletter as well for this week. Subscribe if you're not already on it. And the link is going to be dropped in the comments. Everybody have a great week and happy Monday. Talk soon.